Hey, welcome everyone to the 7 p.m. live on a Tuesday night. My name is Jacqui Lewis and I'm the clinical nutritionist for BN Multi. And every week we meet here on the BN Multi page at 7 p.m., which is Brisbane time, getting used to the daylight savings time differences in different states. So we are 7 p.m. We're an hour behind New South Wales and Victoria, so that our curtains and carpets and everything stay looking snazzy. So every Tuesday at 7, I generally help with answering questions that have been posted by the other members in the group each week, which is helpful to everyone. So if you've got any questions that you'd like me to answer, there's a few opportunities during the week. We post an ad that gives you an opportunity to write your questions below on anything that's health and nutrition and weight loss, any questions you've got, or different concerns, I suppose. And then we just cover them in the live. That's the first thing I normally do, is answer all the questions. Then after that, we talk about our winners. Each week we have winners of different things that we're running as well. And at the moment it's Transformation Tuesday, where people are sharing their success stories. And it's not only about their shrinking bodies, which is fabulous. And ideally that's what happens after weight loss surgery. However, you can talk about the wins, other different things that you never thought you'd ever be able to do, like a cartwheel, like we had last week. Or, just things that you're enjoying with your family now, or things that you just never in your wildest dreams thought would happen. So share with us. That's the whole reason we've created this community, is for everybody to feel like they've got a safe place to come and to be inspired and to inspire others. So join in the fun. And I don't have any guests tonight. It's just me. So I've decided to have a little bit of a chat about your questions firstly. And then I also thought it was a good thing to perhaps highlight the benefit of nutrition on your mental health. Given that 2020 has been a bit of a tough one and mental health is in the limelight, I thought it was a pertinent thing to highlight just how much your food and your nutrition overall, and your supplementation comes into that as well, how that affects the way your mood and your anxiety and your general love of life is affected. And there's actually some good questions on that one as well. So I'll save the mental health questions for last. So thanks for joining us. And firstly, I had a question from Anna Aceri Giovanello. And she's wondering, her husband's having surgery in 2 weeks and from tomorrow has to start the strict shake diet. She wants to know, is he allowed to drink water? And yes, absolutely. I think the shakes, some of them are mixed on water. So that's counted as part of your intake, but essentially you still need to meet the at least 8 glasses of water a day. Some dietitians, and I would recommend a little bit more than that, mainly when you're increasing your protein intake, you do need more water, and it's just part of the process of breaking down and utilizing protein requires a bit more water. It's also very good for your kidneys to have enough water as well, because the higher level of protein in the body, also the kidneys need to process a lot of different things as well. It's great for everything, and it's great for your metabolism. So it's good to keep your hydration up. The number one cause of re-hospitalization after surgery is dehydration and electrolyte imbalance due to dehydration. So it's something to really stay on top of. So yes, water is your friend, and often it's helpful if you're feeling a bit hungry in between your shakes. And on the strict shake diet, things are quite, food is thin on the ground. So yeah, it's something that you can include for sure. And there's no calories in it. So it's actually a little bonus as well. So thank you, Anna. Anthony Farmer wrote this one. Just a question on reflux. I'm 9 months post-op and has started to get infrequent reflux at first. At first, I've put it down to putting too much in and too quickly. Have you noticed anything similar? I have an appointment with my doctor on Thursday. So if it's infrequent, Anthony, have a look at what foods you're eating that might precede the reflux. often we get you to do a bit of a diary and just kind of marry up your symptoms with the foods that you're eating and just see if there's anything you can find that's a match. All the fun things like sugar, alcohol, coffee, red wine will cause reflux, or if you're that way inclined, can be a cause of reflux. The reason is they tend to raise the acidity, but they also relax your lower esophageal sphincter, which is like the lid on your esophagus. So when that's relaxed, it means that if there's more pressure in the abdomen, the chances of that lid flipping off your tummy and letting food go back into the esophagus is higher. But definitely, firstly, have a look at if it's related to any food that you're eating, and you can find a link. And then if you've got an inkling that it may be a certain food, you could perhaps remove it and just see what happens. If it's infrequent, it tells me perhaps that might be something that's just not sitting well. The other thing to look at is how much fiber is in your diet, how much water, how many plants. So plant foods and fiber and that sort of thing almost act as like a, if you look at reflux as a fire with a lot of heat, plant foods and green foods and lots of fiber and that sort of stuff actually help to quell that in a lot of ways. They're more alkaline, so they'll help to reduce that acidity. They also improve the health of the bacteria in the gut. So sometimes we look at reflux is the offshoot of what we call like a bacterial overgrowth that's not in a positive way. So you've got too many of the bad guys on board and not enough of the good guys. So it can be coming down to gut health and that sort of thing. And yes, it can be eating too quickly and putting too much in the tummy. So a little bit to look at there. And it is not common, but we do hear a lot about reflux, and good that you're seeing your doctor. So check with them. If they look at doing the reflux medications, consider it, but it's certainly not a long-term thing to just placate the symptoms. You'd be looking maybe before you put the if it's intermittent, infrequent, like you say, it's a good thing to see if you can eliminate the cause rather than suppress it with the medications. And the reason for that is that you upset your microbiome and you inhibit the absorption of even more nutrients with the reflux medications. So they do work, and they are helpful to help with, reducing that tendency for reflux, but it's always good to have a look at why, and just, look at food as medicine, looking at ways to include or increase the health of your gut. It can be also a structural thing, so that needs to be ruled out as well, which the doctor will have a look at if that's necessary. Good luck. Fiona, I'm going to do your question last because you're one of the other ones from the mental health part. So Lee Gardner asks if I'm due to go in for gastric bypass tomorrow, and I try and fix my reflux and grazing weight gain to combat the reflux. How can I prevent the same issues I had with hair thinning this time around? Is starting the BN supplementation as soon as I am home. Yes, and looking at if you did have hair loss last time, whether it went on for a long period of time. The research around hair loss in the bariatric community indicates that if you're losing hair straight after surgery, it can happen for about a 6-month period, which is related just to the whole adjustment of your body and what it's been through. So not that it's not anything to worry about. It's not fun. So it's looking at if it's persisting after 6 months, we would relate that to some kind of nutritional deficiency or a malabsorption issue. I'll post in the group, because it's a bit of a favourite of everybody's, the hair loss article. There was a bariatric article that did all the research into the causes of hair loss. It really speaks to me being very vigilant with your supplementation. So it's 2 a day, should cover your needs to protect everything from going pear-shaped. But if that's also, not working, it could be iron. It's a huge contributor to your thyroid health. So there's links between iron deficiency, which slows down the thyroid, and then thyroid also governs some of the hair. So looking at kind of what's going on. If iron is low, there's not much oxygen, which the thyroid really needs to function properly. And iron, zinc, selenium are really prerequisites for healthy thyroid function as well. So yeah, it's looking at that. It's also looking at your gut health and the absorption of the nutrition from your food, which is really important. Doesn't matter how much of something you're putting in there, if it's not going into an environment that's ready to absorb it, it's just going nowhere. So it's looking at that, as well as making sure you've got some healthy fats. They're key to good healthy hair. But yeah, monitor it and see what's happening. Protein is a big key as well for hair, skin and nails. But I'll post again the famous hair loss article, and there's lots of articles on our website about hair loss and different things that can happen after surgery and how to sort of best prepare for that as well on the BN Multi website. Thank you. Kim Beeswick is asked, does anybody include a probiotic tummy health tablet to their multivitamin? I'm sure people do, and I recommend it. I also, more than that, I recommend making sure you've got a healthy diet that's loaded with plant foods and fiber. It's one thing to put in a probiotic, it's fantastic, but unless those bacteria have the food that they need, which is fiber, certain forms of fiber which come from plants and oats and artichokes and garlic and that sort of thing. If that's not being put in at the same time, those bacteria won't grow into healthy colonies and take up space in the gut. And the idea of a healthy microbiome, which is, it's a little bit of a buzzword, but it's actually, there's a lot of science around it as well. The idea is that you grow these camps of really healthy bacteria so that there's no room in the tummy for, it's not even your tummy, it's your whole gut, which is everything from your mouth to your bottom. So all the way through your body is where this bacteria will proliferate. And not only that, it is all over your skin, and it sets up this protective barrier. So you'll notice people who are having regular skin infections will say, oh, my skin's not very healthy. But often it's just a disruption in their microbiome, that they just don't have this bubble around them of healthy bacteria to fight those bad guys off. And they set up their own camp, and that's where infection can set up. So whilst putting a probiotic in is a really positive thing to do, it needs to be supported with the right stuff. So yes, do your own reading and research on exactly which probiotic as well. And there's more and more and more research they're finding now that there's certain strains of bacteria that they're finding in lean people that they don't find in obese people. So they're kind of looking at bringing these different bacteria in and helping people's bodies change through these, different range of bacteria. So definitely looking at that is a really positive thing. But we need to feed them. It's like little fish that we give a little bit of everything each day, and they start to set up and protect us. So I also wanted to say, I don't recommend just blanket taking a probiotic of some sort for months and months and months, because then you've put in a certain group of bacteria that just exist in that supplement. And if they all proliferate, you're not as diverse as you could be. And the microbiome is about diversity, and different foods will also, if your food is going in and it's varied, like we did with the 50 Foods Challenge, we were getting you to put in all different colors and all different, fibrous foods and, things with some different fats in it and all that sort of stuff. And if you've got a range of different healthy, natural foods going in, that range is what gives you the diversity in your microbiome, as well as all those different plant nutrients and the colors that also do good things for your body. So that's kind of a roundabout way of saying good, but make sure you feed them really well. Thanks, Kim. I think I have another question from Deb Gilchrist. I'm on my first week of fluids. I'm sure a few of you can relate to this one. And I'm feeling a bit blah with no energy. Is this normal? So it's the 13th of the 10th. And Deb had her surgery on the 6th. So if you have a look at what you've just been through, and you could probably understand when you think about it why you're feeling a bit blah. Dehydration is something that will make you feel really tired. But it depends on what this blah is, whether it's nauseous or no energy or, you know, I'm not sure what it entails. But I think it's good to remind ourselves that this is major surgery and it's a huge readjustment of all sorts of different chemical reactions and systems in the body that need to rewire themselves in a lot of ways. Firstly, that, you know, all the surgical scars need to heal, which takes energy, takes nutrition. And you can see there's not much energy and nutrition going in on a fluids diet. So I think it's really, really important to remember that we're humans and we should be, you know, taking this on as a time to rest and really look after yourself. And if you're feeling blah, it would be great if you had the opportunity to, you know, go to sleep when you need to and eat when you're hungry and just listen. It's a good opportunity to start that process of listening to your body and, you know, what's it trying to tell me? I'm feeling exhausted and I'm tired and I just feel so lethargic. It's a message to just rest. So it's, yeah, I wrote about this in one of our newsletters that's upcoming. It's a lot about starting to listen, and the body is sending you continual feedback of what it needs and what it wants and, you know, what's going on. And all we have to do is take the time to listen to it and actually go, I'm feeling pretty blah. I might just lie on the couch for a while, or I'm feeling really like nothing's, you know, I'm not functioning well. Is that nutrients? Is it liquid? Is it food? Is it carbohydrate? Am I just so depleted that there's no energy being formed? So, you can just repeat that question in your head. What do I need? What's going on? And there's a natural part of you that will help to wake that part of you up, that will help you to find the answers a lot of the time. Sounds a bit woo-woo, but we're pretty clever. And there's things that we're, you know, listening to. We should be listening to little messages. So that takes me to the standard questions. I'll announce the winners because everybody loves to hear about the winners. And then I'll go back to the mental health component, give you a bit of a chat about that. If you've got any comments, I can actually see the, let me check before I see this. I can actually see the post where the questions might turn up underneath the video, which normally I can't. So if you've got any questions and you'd like me to add anything, just pop it in the comments underneath my video and I'll get to them. So this week we had Transformation Tuesday winners. Some of these are just impressive and I'm sure it's as motivating for you as it is for us to see it. So Deneen Ferris is our first winner. I'm sure you've all been following, and every week I think I must show you. I'll have to work out how to share the screen. I'm a clinician, I'm not a technician. So Deneen had her surgery about 2 years ago, and she's looking fabulous, I must say. And there's no blurb on here. She is now about half. She's lost a whole person, about 60 kilos, and is looking fitter than anything, and very pleased with herself. So Deneen, you are the winner tonight of our meal planner, the BN Multi Meal Planner. So each week you'll be able to plan out your menu for the week and then add all of those foods to your shopping list, zip it off the fridge and take it to the supermarket. And there's nothing better than staying, you know, well planned out and well organized when you're shopping. It's also got a suggestion of a whole lot of different protein rich snacks, and you just tick those boxes. I've given up trying to show you things because my virtual background just absorbs anything I hold up and it's pointless. So we'll send you one out. If you can send us an email to support@bnmulti.com, we'll get that out to you straight away. Keep up the good work. So the next winner, we have two winners. Sue Thorne, 12 months since her surgery, 103 kilograms, and today she's 56.4. I'm a completely new person, not just in size, but I'm fitter, excited by life and looking forward to enjoying my life. And she's standing in front of her big blow up 60 balloons, looking about 20 years younger than she was in her first photo. So it's amazing and it's inspiring. You've done a great job. And you've also won a wheel planner, so you can plan out your wheels. So, so you can plan your meals and stay on top of your protein intake and make sure that every little opportunity to put food in is packed full of nutrition. Good on you. And I think everyone will agree that seeing the transformations, not only in size, but in just the things that people are doing and taking on in their lives now is significant. It's a really significant and huge change. And particularly in 2020, to keep on moving forward, you've done extremely well. So I'm going to just see if I can find the videos so I can see if there's any questions there. Sorry. And we will start to chat about, oh, there's 30 people watching. That's exciting. Sometimes it's good when I don't know how many people are watching. So I wanted to just go a brief chat about mental health and the weight loss surgery journey and how important different nutrients are for keeping our processes and our function of our brain working properly. So the first kind of key range of nutrients we talk about are the B group. And the reason when we're feeling anxious, depressed, low on energy, low in motivation, finding that we can't stop ourselves doing the things that we maybe shouldn't be doing, like overeating or looking for snacks and that sort of stuff. And times where we call it inhibition, which is like an ability to stop doing something that we know better. So B group vitamins, particularly, well, all of them, but B12 and B6 and folate are key players in making neurotransmitters and hormones, basically. So if you look at our bodies, and for men and for women, we're one big hormonal chemical reaction. So we're trying to keep everything nicely balanced. B group particularly help with a whole lot of different processes in energy production. So they're like a key in the whole chemical chain of events that needs to take place to produce energy. B12 specifically, which is a huge problem after surgery because we just only absorb it like 1% as well as we used to. B12 is a key nutrient in managing the nervous system. So it helps with clear thinking, memory, cognition, learning. It governs our whole nervous system. So you'll find that people who are suffering pins and needles or numbness of any sort would be an indication that perhaps there's a B12 deficiency. B12 is a key in a whole lot of processes that lead to very healthy, what we call methylation and healthy cell turnover, protect your DNA from mutations and that sort of thing, but also are a key in mental health. So people with conditions like depression, ADHD, ADD, that sort of thing, these B group vitamins are a huge player in managing the neurotransmitters that keep in good supply these neurotransmitters so that your mental health can be as good as it possibly can. So if you're feeling, not even suddenly, but if you're feeling more anxious than you used to, or you're feeling more tired than you used to, or vague, you're forgetting things, or you're just, kind of just not interested in doing the things that you used to enjoy, have a look from a nutritional perspective of, what is going in and giving your body the best opportunity to produce the neurotransmitters that are needed. Different nutrients also, like iron, is a key player. I was talking to a patient a couple of weeks ago who was saying that they had no idea their iron had gotten to be so low. And it is like what they say, like a frog in boiling water, so that slowly, you just kind of accept that you just don't feel awesome. However, this poor person was driving along the freeway in her car, and she was struck with this huge panic attack, and it just came from nowhere, and she wasn't sure what that was about. So took herself off the side of the road, obviously, and managed to get some help, and then kind of investigated all of that, and it did come down to iron was causing that level of anxiety that she then had associated that feeling with driving the car. So it took her quite a long time to actually pluck up the courage to get back in the car, because she thought she was going to have another panic attack. And if you've ever had a panic attack, it can feel like death is imminent. It's not fun, and it's very hard to pull yourself back from. So different things as they start to kind of change, or if you're noticing something about yourself that you're not engaging like you used to, or you're not reaching out to friends in the way that you normally do, or just, different things that come up, it's good to have a look at the nutritional impact of your mental health as well. So other contributors are healthy fats, so like things like fish oil and omega-3s, so foods like nuts and seeds, and different oils, avocados, oils from fish, so sardines and mackerel and mussels and all that sort of stuff all come with a dose of omega-3, and that's been known for its anti-inflammatory properties, which a lot of mental health issues are linked to inflammation in the body. So bringing down and reducing inflammation overall is only going to benefit your mental health as well. The other thing to think about is the omegas are very good at, or the fat is very good for coating the nerves in a sheath of healthy fat, which protects its health, but also means your nerve impulses are faster. So conditions like multiple sclerosis, where they're losing that fatty sheath from around the nerves that provide feeling to the fingers and toes and that sort of thing, that's a degradation of the outside of the nerves, and the omega-3s are really protective for that. So it helps with healthy nervous system. And when we talk about a healthy nervous system, it includes our brain and our mental health as well. Magnesium, can we give magnesium a round of applause because of all the things that it does? 300 different enzymatic reactions in the body is what magnesium does. It acts like a hormone, and it's a buffer. It's an alkalizer. It protects the nervous system. It reduces anxiety. It helps you sleep better. It recovers from exercise faster. It's amazing. It softens up the muscles by reducing the rigidity of the nervous system. So it's a huge one as well. I'm just trying to see if we've got any questions down here. Let me see. 25 comments. Hang on, I'm missing stuff. And so looking at, protein is also a huge one. Protein is so if you're putting in 20 grams of protein, you're putting in a bunch of amino acids, and one molecule of protein is made from a chain of different amino acids, which all have a different job in the body. So lots of amino acids are used for building muscle and making hormones and that sort of thing. And the others are also used for making neurotransmitters. So when we have someone who has depression, one of the first things that recommended is a high protein diet. High protein diet, lots of magnesium, lots of healthy fats, reducing, and also omegas are linked to reducing anxiety as well. So it's also a great thing to have a think about is making sure your protein needs are being met. If you're feeling a bit down in the dumps, increasing your protein, increase your exercise if possible. Nothing, you don't have to go out, doing burpees or anything, but even walking for about half an hour each day will protect your mental health as well. So all sorts of different nutrients that link to keeping our faculties intact, but also the connections to the gut and the brain and our mood. So looking at gut health from that perspective as the connection to the brain as well is really important. I might elaborate on that if anyone's interested in another session, but it's also making sure that kind of everything's met, like looking at the reason that we need the supplementation after surgery is that we're not absorbing the nutrients, particular nutrients like we used to. And also making sure that we're getting enough protein and that sort of thing. So the supplements are like your insurance policy against these nutritional deficiencies that can sneak into different health issues that you may not have experienced before. So I think we had one more question on the mental health realm. I'll just find that. Fiona Bush was saying that my dietitian told me that depression and anxiety can be linked to bad gut bacteria health. Can you please discuss this and how to get and maintain good gut bacteria? Thank you. So Fiona, I think I might have answered some of that earlier when we're talking about, proliferating these, colonies of healthy bacteria in the gut and how that links to what we call the gut-brain axis. So there's a whole lot of connections in there from a neural perspective, like from your nervous system. There's a whole plexus of nerves in the gut that speak to the brain. There's also various links through inflammation markers and that sort of thing. But yeah, looking at people with anxiety and depression, or even like the ASD, autism spectrum disorders and that sort of thing, a lot of what they do initially is work on the gut health. So strengthening up what we call the tight junctions in the gut, in the mucous membrane. So the inner lining of your esophagus and your tummy and all your intestines and that sort of thing, if that's all really healthy, it's locking tight like that. So when there's a good strong, when all your connective tissues are nice and healthy, which is why collagen powder is quite good for this, is all those little fibers will sit nice and tightly together and nothing can leak through. So when you've got a looser, or what we call like gaps in those gap junctions, so you might have them like that, different toxins and unprocessed foods can enter the bloodstream. And the issue with that is that the body will treat them like an allergen. So there's an immune response to those foods or unprocessed foods that slip through into the bloodstream. And they set off a cascade of their own, but they also can cross the blood-brain barrier. And that's where this comes into mental health as well, and causing brain fog and, forgetfulness and low mood and hyperactivity even. And different foods will do different things to certain people. But if you've got food sensitivity and you've got poor gut health, you've got problems, because you're having this whole immune system cascade setting off every time you eat certain foods, and then that's crossing the blood-brain barrier and upsetting the function of the brain. So yeah, definitely links to depression and anxiety from gut health. Nutritional deficiency comes from that because there's less absorption. So you've got an environment where it doesn't matter what food you're putting in there, you're just not capitalizing on the nutritional benefit of that, and it gets lost. So you look at celiac disease and like IBS and IBD, which is like irritable bowel syndrome and that sort of thing, where they've got that constant inflammation, and like a celiac has constant insult on the health of that gut lining, where the gluten just destroys the protective barrier around it, and it tramples down the little villi, and certainly then leads to malabsorption. And a lot of that is the same nutrients that you guys don't absorb: B12, iron, calcium. So that leads to depression, anxiety, that sort of thing as well. So huge, big connection there. Hope I'm not boring you. I've probably got, 2 listeners now. So yeah, overall, yes, looking at your gut health and the links to your overall health. And I think we talk about gut, and I always imagine this tiny little gut, but it's actually your whole system that's affected, and how that all functions is fairly intricate and very clever and great when it's working really well. So yes, looking at nutrients like the collagen that a lot of people are taking, it's fantastic for hair, skin and nails, but also for that gut lining, it's keeping things nice and strong. All the connective tissues are locking together well. So do that, feed it with healthy plant foods, chuck out sugar, don't drink too much alcohol, everything else in moderation, and true gut health will be yours. So I'll check and see, make sure there's been no other questions posted. And here's one. I think I've just scrolled past it. Hang on. Slowly, no. Karen Reed Rutherford. I put up a question, Jacqui, about when I have a hot drink, I now feel it burning down my esophagus and warming my stomach. It's only just started happening. Interesting. And how hot is the drink? But if you're really feeling it, my first thinking is that the tissues there may be sensitive for some reason. And maybe not protected. So that's my thinking, I'm guessing. So please don't go to your doctor and say, Jacqui said this is what's going on. I found recently, I was doing this program, this is just a story of mine, where the food I was eating was heated in the microwave, and I don't heat food in the microwave very often, and I overheated the very first few, or probably the first 2 or 3 meals I ate. And I burnt, I'm sure I was burnt down here. So the first couple of mouthfuls, I was like, oh, that's burning. But I didn't realize I'd probably burnt it. I burnt the tissues of my esophagus. And so then for about maybe 4 or 5 days at least, even when I ate food that was just warmed, it still felt like it was really burning. So it was obviously just the recovery period and me making sure I didn't zap my food for too long. But that might be something that if it's happened once, it may be that there's just that residual sensitivity there because the tissues are not just as happy as they could be. So maybe just see if it does recover. Things you can do to help it recover are things like the collagen powder. Also, there's you can get it at the supermarket now. It's called slippery elm bark. And if you've got reflux, it's really helpful to explore that as an option as well. And it's a powder that tastes like bark off a tree. I'm not selling it on how good it tastes. I'm selling it on effectiveness. So it's a bark from the slippery elm tree, and it's ground up and you drink it. So if you take it as a tablet, or a capsule, it's only effective where that capsule opens. But what you want is it in water and diluted, so you're drinking it. And its job is to coat the esophagus with this kind of gelatinous residue. And it's a protectant. So it helps to reduce inflammation. It helps your microbiome, and it coats the whole tract, the whole digestive tract, and protects it if you've got reflux. So the problem with reflux is that it comes up and it burns that part of the esophagus. So the slippery elm will help to coat your tissues with a protectant and hopefully reduce the inflammation and stop the burning. So that may be something that you could explore as well. And try just not heating your drinks too much. And I can vouch for that because I was putting my stuff in the microwave for 30 seconds too long. That's all it was. And it was burning me. So I hope that helped. Then no, drink's not too hot, just warm. I would say maybe have that looked into if it's continuing, because it may be, I don't know, I'm guessing again, this is stuff that I just, deduct, and it may be completely incorrect, but it might just be helpful. It could be there's what we call silent reflux. So if it's happening and you're not really aware of it, and then you're putting hot drinks in and the tissues are sore, I'm just saying, it could be linked to that. So Maz wants to know, can you still take your multivitamins if they're out of date? So what are we now? October. So August. August 2020. So generally, if they've been stored well and they're not moist or they're not discolored, I would say yes. They'd have probably, when we manufacture anything, we have to put it as a best before date. So it's like a really absolute guarantee of sure that the product will still be good. So generally, I would say you would get 6 to 8 months at least more out of a bottle that has a use by date of August on it. If it's been stored correctly and it hasn't been in temperatures more than I think about 24 degrees. So the chewables, if the lids are left off, you'll find they go soft and they discolor, and that's oxidation, and you don't want that because likely the B group have gone somewhere else. B group are very fragile. They're probably the only really fragile part of a multi that's got, vitamins in it and minerals. Minerals are pretty much indestructible. But the B group don't like heat and they don't like moisture, and they definitely don't like too much oxygen. So I would say yes, if they've been kept in good conditions, you'll be fine. And I think that's all I've got for tonight. So thank you all for, here we go. I've got one more question. Something here that I just went, are you more on gut health? I might do a few little sessions on gut health, which is great. Does vitamin A play a part in depression? Vitamin A governs your eyesight. So if you're finding that your night driving's not awesome, please investigate your vitamin A, because it's often something we just think we're getting old, and we are, but we're not getting blind all of a sudden. So vitamin A is to do with the mucous membranes, your skin, and it's also an antioxidant. So I would say yes, in a roundabout way. It's a fat soluble vitamin as well. So looking at vitamin A and weight loss surgery patients, there is a predisposition for deficiency, particularly in bypass, but we are seeing some vitamin A deficiency in sleeve patients as well. So that's why you take your multis with a meal, because they have, you need it with some fat, and it's not a dirty word. So yeah, you would look at, overall what's going on there as far as antioxidant activity goes. Vitamin A is a big player. So I think that's all we have, and it's 7:45. Well, it's 8:45 in some parts of Australia. And stick with us next week. Stick with us, because we've got Anthony Benici, who I just did a podcast with. He's lovely, and he has been doing the Brain Blinkers program, where he nuts out your little unconscious tricksters and your beliefs that are not serving you and stopping you from reaching your goals. And he can just access those and help you to send them off into some other platform that doesn't serve you anymore. So I did his podcast last week, and he's coming in as a special guest next week on the live, and you can register and join us in the live and speak to Anthony Benici, because I'm sure you're sick of talking to me, and have some questions ready on what it's all about, how to access these parts that you know better, but you keep doing the same thing. So the little things that lead you off track, maybe all the willpower in the world isn't changing your thriving life full of exercise, those sorts of things. There's something underlying that's deep, and it's blinkered, and that's why he calls it brain blinkers. It's like you cannot see it. So he helps to bring that to the fore and poof, get rid of it. And that's why we love Anthony Benici. So he'll be with us Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Brisbane time, but there's a link in the group and you need to register if you want to talk to him. So get in the queue, because I can't let too many people in, because he'll be there all night. So that's the next podcast. We've got Amanda Clark. She's won multiple awards for her portion plate and bowl, which I'm sure most of the 5,500 people in our group are using. And so I spoke with her, and that's the next podcast we're releasing. And she's lovely. Also got a few things coming up in the pipeline. I can't tell you everything. Got to keep something a surprise. So take care and be good, and have a wonderful week. Bye.